Hello, my name is Susan Olivio, and this video is about my pattern brushes that I have for sale on Etsy. I'll put a link in the description, but you can find them at etsy.com/shop Susan Olivio. Thank you. Today I'm going to show you how to install the brushes. I'm going to show you what each of them look like, and I'm going to give you a couple of tips and tricks. So without further ado, let's get started. To install a brush, first you want to click over here to the right, find the little brush icon, which is right here, and click on it. Then click the burger menu, and then click on import brushes, and then you'll go and find your brushes. I'm not going to do it now because I already have it loaded, so you'll just run through it. And once it's loaded, it should show up here, but if it doesn't, if you click on the name, you can scroll through and find your brush. So I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to show you what each of the brushes look like. Let's go start with the top one, and we're going to use the pen tool, which is right here, and we're going to click and click. Okay, I'm going to show you how to use a color palette. I like to use swatches, which you can find right here. And then if you click on the name, it does come preloaded with some Pantone colors. And then I've created a whole bunch of different colors. So let's use this one. Okay. Actually, let's find a better color. You can cycle through. Let's try this. That doesn't show up very well. Okay, let's use this. Okay, here's the first brush. You can adjust the size. Some of these look better in different sizes. Okay, let's make this a little bit bigger. This one. We have this one. Let's zoom in here a little bit. This one. This is a dot pattern. Random dots. Arrows. This is a bit grungy. This one is for texture. Texture dots. This is a stipple. Stipple number 2. I call this one chicken scratch. Chicken scratch 2. Stencil dots. You can kind of see the dots there. More stencil dots. Brush stroke. I think this one looks better smaller. Another texture one. Grunge 4. Grunge 5. Grunge 6. Grunge 7. Lines. Like a key pattern. Spirals. Splotch. Don't know why I called that splotch. This is called string. Chevron and chicken feet. Okay, so you can use this as in lines. Let's see if we can bring this over here. And I'm going to readjust it with this node tool. And let's... Okay, this is not a straight, and it's got something funky going on. To correct that, all you need to do is click on the node tool, click on the point, and then come up here and click on sharp. And that straightens it out and ends it in a sharp point. Okay, I want to go a little bit off the page, off the mountain, maybe decrease the size of this, change the color to something that's more contrasting so you could see it. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is duplicate this by holding my fingers down and then sliding this to the right and moving it up so it's kind of in between. I could do this each and every time, but there's a trick to Affinity Designer. You don't have to do that. All you have to do is come up to this ellipse up here and click on duplicate, and it duplicates your exact move that you made. And you just keep doing that till you fill the board. In this case, until I fill my mountain. Okay, just keep doing that. And that's the reason why I went over. There we go. That's the reason why I went over, because I knew I was going to need that extra space. So I'm going to select all these, and a quick tip on that is if you select the very first item you want to group, and you slide all the way down on the bottom and double with 2 fingers, select the bottom one. It'll select everything in between, and you come up to this file folder and click group. Now I want to clip this to the mountain so you won't see all the excess. This is the part I want to clip it to. So what you do is you take this group and you drag it all the way down to where you want to clip it, and when you see the blue, you let go. And now it's clipped. That's a little bit big, so I might want to adjust the stroke. You have your color panel here and your stroke panel here. I don't think it's going to let me do the whole group, so what I have to do is open the group and select each curve again. So let's do it the manual way this time by swiping to the right. And one other thing I always forget to put on, which is on for some reason on this is usually, scale with object is usually defaulted to off. Let's scale it to on. And then I want to change this so it's a little more, it's smaller. Okay, that looks better to me. You can also change the blending mode if you feel like it. Okay, you can do that with the group. That's set to multiply now. That's a little bit dark. That's to color burn. That's a little weird. Okay, I like multiply, but that's a little dark. Let's say I want to change the opacity. I can actually just go and change the whole color. With one click, I'm on the group, and I can change the stroke with one click. But let's say I like this color, but it's a little bit dark. If you go back to the layers panel, you can change the opacity right here, and if you slide to the left, you lower the opacity. If you slide to the right, you raise the opacity. So let's make it a little more subtle and go about there. Okay. All right, another trick I want to show you is that you can use this around shapes. Okay, I have this shape here, and I want to change it to this. Okay, so now you use that for the stroke. There's one thing I need to point out, and it's some brushes will not close properly. That's just the way that Affinity Designer works. You have to be exactly the ends of the brush when you're creating it have to line up perfectly for it to close. So some of them you can't tell because there's gaps within the brushes that I made, but some of them you can completely tell that it doesn't line up properly. Let's see if there's one. It will not close for whatever reason. I cannot get that to close. So if you come across that, there is one way that you can make it close. What you can do is convert it to a curve, because this is a shape right now. So you come up to the ellipse here, and if you convert it to a curve and then click on the node with the white tool that has the gap, and you come up here to this item here, break, it'll close it. That's the only way I know to actually close those curves that don't work. Okay, but when you try and go back to one that was working, because we broke it now, it doesn't work properly. So I'm going to go back, which if you look down here, these arrows here, this is undo and this is redo. So I'm going to go back until it's a circle again. And these are working now. Okay, so what I wanted to show you with this is that you can create your own patterns. Let's go back to this group and delete it. Let's take this now and let's create an interesting pattern. Let's try this one. I'm going to make it a little bit darker so we can see what we're doing. For now, we can always change the color. I'm going to make it smaller. One thing I want to check is I did have scale to object on, but if I didn't have scale to object on, it does some funky things. Okay, let's say I had this and I didn't have scale to object on. Sometimes it just doesn't work right. That's actually a kind of an interesting pattern. Okay, let's scale this. It's almost like a flower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start placing this around and filling up this mountain. I'm going to duplicate it by holding 2 fingers down and sliding this. And if you just keep your fingers down, you can just keep duplicating. I'm going to do some random pattern here. Don't worry about it. You can, ooh, that's kind of weird. You can always rearrange it after you're done. I kind of didn't really want this in too much of a line, but I'll go and fix it later. Okay, let's go and fix some of these. It's too much of a line for me. I want a little more random. That one might be one too many. Let's see what this looks like. This is a little more sparse than over there, so let's move some over. Oops. Let's move some over this way. I think that's one too many. I keep grabbing the wrong parts. Let's put one more over here. Okay, so that kind of looks like it's evenly spread. Let's go back to the top one, scroll down to the bottom one, select it, group it, and then clip it to the mountain again. Oops. Clip it to the mountain again. And there you go. One other thing, sometimes when you're using the brushes, let's say I'm using the pencil tool, and I switch to the brushes. Let's pick a different color so you can see what I'm doing. Sometimes you'll get something weird because of this curve. Let me try and make it do it. You'll get some weird thing like that. Okay, if you see something weird like that, all you need to do is use the node tool, the white arrow, select the node, and then click on sharp. Sharp. It'll fix it. There's too many nodes right there, so a way to get rid of one is to select the last one and then come up here to this garbage can and delete it. Okay, now that's fixed. Okay, the other thing is you can bend around curves. So let's get this yellow color here, and I want to use the pencil tool with rope stabilizer on. These are different stabilizers. I tend to use the rope one at default settings, and I think what it does is it creates less nodes when you're creating lines, so not as many nodes. Okay, I'm just going to make a smooth line like that. That might be a little wonky. Let's pick a different color. I don't know. And then let's come over to grunge. Let's pick a different color that you can see better. There. Okay. Any other stencil dots? I want to try and maybe use this one to shade. So let's go over here, and that might have too, yeah, that might have too definitive of a, this might be a good one. Actually, this one. Okay, so I'm going to create a couple of copies of this, and as I go up, maybe make it a little bit thinner. As I go up, I'm going to lighten them. Okay, so the top one, let's go to the color panel. I'm going to go out of swatches, so I'm going to click this button. And I usually use HSL sliders, but you can use the color wheel. You can change that by clicking on the name, and a flyout pops up, and you can change it to color wheel. I prefer HSL, and I'll show you why. It's just easier to change colors. All you gotta do is drag this up. Let's go up to the top one, go back to color, and drag this even lighter. You can actually just change the whole color if you feel like it, but so that's why I find it's easier to use the HSL sliders. Okay, I think that's all I have for tips right now. So I hope you enjoyed that, and maybe I'll see you soon. Thank you.